Hello, everybody.
Hello.
We're very drunk. I'm going to be talking about drinking today. Because we were very, very drunk. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to the Tea and the Butty podcast. We're not drunk.
We're not drunk.
We're just semi-drunk.
We're just a little drunk.
Just a very little tad bit drunk. We're just nicely tipsy.
Tipsied.
Tipsied.
Tipsied. Tipsy.
Whatever it is.
Just a wee bit.
Yes, just a wee bit. No.
Not really.
Well, not really. We haven't had a drink at all for like 6 months.
2 hours.
2 hours.
We're kidding!
We're kidding, everybody. We are kidding. Anyway, this is all about the drinking culture in the US and the UK.
Episode number 3.
3, for those who aren't drunk. And, yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, let's start over. This is episode number 3 of our culture series.
This is episode number 3 of our culture series.
We are not drunk, but this episode
drunk.
is about drinking.
And
the drinking culture.
This is the Tea and the Butty podcast, and I'm Dominic.
I'm Erica.
And I'm Dominic.
I'm Erica.
As you keep repeating yourself because we're drunk. Yeah, the drinking culture in the UK is...
Oh my gosh.
Yes, I mean, Erica's had to experience it firsthand.
Yeah.
Yeah, she loved it. She loved every vomiting on the carpet.
So just explain, just explain what we mean by drinking culture.
Just basically going out for a drink, you know.
That is not a drinking culture.
Going out for a drink with your mates, you know. Like, every weekend or every night or every day.
Right.
You can have a drink.
Right.
It's kind of like socially acceptable.
Mm.
And it's just like, oh, gagging for a gin and tonic.
It's really because the pub is such an important...
cheeky pint before, you know, going home to the wife.
It's really because the pub is such an important part of British culture,
yes.
though.
People go to the pub.
In history, and
they just get very, very drunk.
And they're just sort of repeating what their parents and grandparents
Well, they've seen their parents. Yeah, I mean, it's like an endless cycle at the end of the day, you know. You know, it's like the British like to drink. I mean, you know, like there's that stereotype over here about the Irish being drunk all the time and stuff like that. And it's just like, when I first heard that, I think it was when I came over here, and I was just like, it's not, I mean, the Irish, yeah, they like a drink, but it's like, it's the same sort of stuff as in Britain. It's like, why isn't that a bigger thing?
I don't know, yeah.
Because when you came over to the UK, you know, it's like, oh, well, we're gonna go for a drink tonight, you know. It was just like, oh, what do you mean? What do you mean we're gonna go for a drink? And I was just like, well, you know, we're gonna drink. Gonna get drunk, probably, you know. Just gonna have a bit of a night out, bit of a knees up, you know.
Yeah.
And you were just like, oh, I don't know. I don't know about this.
I was not like that.
Yeah, you were. You were like, oh, I don't know about this drinking thing. I don't really do that, you know. We don't really do that. You know, it's not like a thing. But it's like, you know, my dad was like, yeah, I'm going to take you out to the pub. We'll meet everyone. We'll have a couple of drinks. It'll be lovely. You know, it'll be nice.
Yeah, it was just like, oh my God. Well, I mean, I'm sort of like awkward with people I don't know anyway, so it was mostly that, I think.
But once you got a couple of drinks, Daniel, you were fine. She was dancing on the tables and everything and vomiting into the thing.
Is that what it is? Now that you're saying that.
Maybe.
Is it
it's
that
like, get a couple of drinks down, you won't be awkward then.
Because British people don't. They're more shy. They're more reserved.
More shy, reserved until you get a couple of WKDs down your mate.
You know what? I bet that has so much to do with it.
Maybe.
You know, but yeah. So we wanted to make this an episode
about boozing,
drinking, about the drinking culture, because this is a conversation that Dominic and I have had.
And I've tried to explain it, but I can't explain it because now that I've been living over here for 10 years, it's kind of like, I don't really miss the drinking culture. I don't miss going out. I mean, I used to do it all the time. I mean, my dad was, you know, always at the pub.
Right.
It was down the road, you know. It was like he likes a drink, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I like a drink too, you know. So I'd end up there every time, you know. It's like if I wanted to go see him, you know. guys down the pub, you know, it's just like, you know, it's just like I'd be in the house and I'd just be like, oh, well, I can't, you know, I'd phone him, but of course he wouldn't be answering because he was on the pop.
I want to
And it
talk
was
to
just
my
like-
dad if I go to the pub.
I'd go down, I'd end up going down the pub and just hanging out there for a time. It was great, you know, it was a real, because I was brought up around pubs, me.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess, bro.
there wasn't a pub in Torquay that I haven't been in.
I guess most British people. Well, the drinking age is a lot younger there.
Yeah, it's 8.
I mean, not a lot younger, but
It's 8.
It's
You can get drunk at 8.
it's
in Britain.
18. But let's face it, like it's pretty acceptable at like 16 even.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was drinking.
Yeah.
I was drinking at like 14.
But you know what? So the conversation that Dominic and I have had, and I don't want to offend anyone or trigger anyone as
We're gonna trigger people.
we're gonna trigger some people. Because my question has always been, why isn't that amount of drinking? Why is it seen as normal in Britain, and it's seen as, I mean, let's face it, alcoholism over here. We look at that amount of like everyday drinking, going to the pub, binge drinking basically. You're drinking to get drunk often. Not all the time, but often.
Often, yeah. I mean, this
Why is that not considered alcoholism in Britain?
It is. I mean, there's people in Britain who are, I'm not going to say teetotal, but they frown upon it. They frown upon people who are getting drunk all the time, you know. You know, you're standing in a train station. It's antisocial behaviour. There was this thing in Britain, I don't know if it still exists, right? But when I was a kid, it came out, the police started doing these antisocial behaviour orders. Mm-hmm. And they ASBOs for short, you know? Okay. And it's like, if you were out drinking and...
But the people drinking consider it to be social, like it's antisocial to not be drinking.
Yes, yeah, that's true. But it's like, if you're being antisocial, like saying, ah, ah, you know, and having a fight and... You know, just basically disturbing the peace, they'd slap an ASBO on you. Okay. And you wouldn't be allowed to drink or go near a pub.
Okay, like when did that start?
Oh, I can't remember now.
Or was it just a thing that was like happening for a while and it doesn't happen anymore?
I don't know if it happens anymore. I mean, I've known people to get ASBOs, you know. Yeah. So it might be still a thing, but I don't think it's really leveled off. But the drinking culture is changing in Britain. I mean, we read that study that a quarter of young adults don't really like to go out to the pub, don't really like to get drunk.
They consider themselves teetotalers.
Teetotalers, yeah. And I mean, I guess I would now, because I mean, I'm not drinking. I mean, we have a few wines now and again, you know. That's...
Drink of wine, yeah, we have wine.
Have wine. I mean, I might get some cider if I'm lucky, if I can find it, but you know, it's not as readily available. I mean, I say that, but it's not as readily available over here as it is in the UK. You can't go into the supermarket and get hard liquor.
Right. Yeah, no, you have to go to a liquor store.
Whereas in the UK, you can.
So, okay, let's back up. So when you are a kid in Britain,
yeah,
you probably have at least a dad, if not both parents.
Yeah.
And a grandparent
who are drunk all the
both
time.
Grandparents,
yeah. Everyone's drunk.
Who hang out in the pub.
Yeah.
Who hung out in the pub, and they might have taken you with them.
They
Whatever.
probably did.
You've seen
they're
them.
not going to leave you at home.
At parties, at family get-togethers, at holidays, everybody's like drinking,
boozing
to the point of getting drunk.
To the point of getting drunk.
Okay, so you grow up with this.
Yeah.
So that's just what you know. So that continues, and that
you just see people doing it, and it's just kind of like it's a normal thing for you, you know.
And that to us, is that right?
Yeah.
And that to us, I just had to check if the microphone was on. Told you we're not drunk. And that to us would be alcoholism and the perpetual alcoholism, because you're perpetuating it by doing the behaviors that you have seen before. Like, okay, this is normal, this is what we do, so this is what I'm going to do. And that's how.
Yeah. There's this thing, I mean, it's a problem in Britain now, binge drinking.
Yeah.
which is going out on the weekends and, you know, just basically getting drunk. They are knocking it back on the weekends. They're getting so hammered that the whole weekend is just black because they've been drunk all through it, and then, you know, they're going back.
And this is not just kids you're talking about.
This is not just kids. This is adults as well.
People.
This is grown people. This is like people in their 50s.
See, because something that you and I have talked about before is that I feel like that type of behavior is something that in America we just do as kids because it's illegal.
Yeah,
because the drinking age in America is 21.
Yeah.
So when you're 16,
it's not
17,
fun to drink anymore after you're 21.
It's just kind of like you drink when you become an adult. You're drinking because you enjoy the taste of it, because it enhances your food, maybe to get a little bit like giggly or whatever, you know. Yeah, tipsy. I mean, I wouldn't say with a margarita. Margaritas, frankly, taste really good. I drink them because they taste good.
I like margaritas. I could get drunk on margaritas.
Well, yeah, it's easy to get drunk on tequila. But, you know, that sort of binge drinking, that sort of, like, I'm going to go out with the intention of having a drink, with the intention of getting drunk. It's like, that's what I associate with kids. That's what we did as teenagers in high school. Like, you go to a party and you brought drinks and everybody has drinks there.
It is.
But it's so celebrated in Britain.
Well, yeah.
You know, we just read, before we started this podcast, we were
night, didn't I?
Yeah, we were reading this article together, and it's
absolutely hammered and kissed.
And it was basically talking about how much better of drinkers the British are than Americans.
They can handle their booze better.
Yeah, British people can handle their booze. Americans can't handle their booze. And my first thought is like, why is that something that, like, well done, Britain, you know? Yes, wait, congratulations.
Yeah. Congratulations, Britain. You've won the gold in boozing.
Yeah, I'm like, but I hear that really often. I hear that aside from that article. I hear British people bragging about what good drinkers they are and how much they can handle their booze. And it's just kind of like, why is that something that's so important to you to brag about?
The drink in it.
You know what I mean? Why is that?
Banter in it, mate. Banter. Yeah, right, nutty caper.
You know, it just reminds me of one of the times we were out. The first time I met Dominic's sister, we were out.
My sister likes to drink also.
We were having a meal, and you guys, I am not calling Dominic's family alcoholics or anything of the sort. I'm just saying that the type of behavior that is celebrated in Britain is in America considered to be like at least a mild form of alcoholism, I would think.
It is, yeah, it is.
If you can't go one day without, or one weekend without going out and getting drunk.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like people just don't think they have a problem.
Right.
You know, it's like if you go out every weekend and get hammered.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's fair, you know, if you go out every weekend in Britain, you sometimes don't get hammered. You just get a little bit tipsy and you're like, oh, all right, you know, and that's it.
But if you can't go out without
drinking alcohol,
without drinking alcohol, period, it's like you might have a problem.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
It's like that'd be like a little test for you.
It's like, an addiction, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's an addiction.
It's a serious addiction, and it ruins some people's lives because that's all they do is want to drink. You know?
And that's all alcoholism is. You know, you hear the word alcoholism and you think, oh God, that's a dirty word. I don't want to have anything to do with it. I'm not an alcoholic, you know. But it boils down to the fact that it is an addiction.
It is, yeah.
And it's a problem. And it's like if you think that you can't interact socially without having a drink, then you might consider whether you have a problem or not.
Yeah.
Know? But anyway, to get back to the point, we were having this conversation with her, and she's talking to Dominic like, well, where do you, if there aren't pubs in America. Yeah, where do you go? Where do you go for a drink, or where do you go to like? I can't remember
get drunk.
exactly. She didn't say to get drunk.
Yeah, she did.
She was just like,
you need to be getting bladdered, mate. That's what she said. You need to be getting bladdered.
No, she did not.
You need to be getting sozzled, mate. It's really nice.
And we were just trying to explain to her, well, there's not really an equivalent to a pub in America. You know, because like we were talking about before, pubs are not just a place to go get drunk. They're a place to socialize.
They're a place to socialize, seriously.
Yeah, you're having a drink because you're there, really.
Yeah, you're having a pint, you're having a wine, you're having a J2O.
Which
is Erica's form of thing, but they're not alcoholic, they're just juices.
But it's mostly just to socialize. And so we were trying to explain to her that there's just not an equivalent type of place or culture in America.
No, not really.
I didn't think at the time to maybe compare like a coffee house or something like that for the socializing aspect of it, but we were just kind of like, yeah, Dominic was just like, I don't
go out drinking.
I don't.
I mean, you'd have to drive somewhere to go drink anyway, and it's like you don't want to get pulled over.
And that's probably another like contributing factor to the drinking culture in Britain, like just the fact that it's a little bit safer to do. You know, in America, it's harder to do unless you're gonna kind of spend the night. And when I say to do, I mean to drink to get drunk, not just to have a glass of wine or whatever. We're talking about drinking to get drunk for the most part. You can't do it in America unless you're going to spend the night wherever it is that you've gone. You know, because you have to drive home otherwise, and you're gonna either kill somebody or you're gonna get pulled over and thrown in jail.
Throw him in jail.
But so we were explaining this to his sister, and she could not grasp it. Yeah. I mean, and we're not exaggerating when we say this. She could not. The look on her face was just totally like, I don't understand the words that are coming out of your mouth right now. Like, what do you mean? Yeah. And it's just like, and
pub.
And almost a look of like pity for Dominic, like, oh, you poor thing, like, you know, oh,
you don't get drunk.
And it's just like, no, you know, we'll go to like a Mexican restaurant and have a margarita with our food, or
I mean, I'm not a boozer by any means.
Or we'll buy a couple
I mean, I used to be in my
wine.
youth, but that was back then, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can go to a pub and I can have a drink, and you know, I might get a bit tipsy, you know, I might get a little bit merry, as we say. But the last time I did it was when I was like early 20s or, you know, late teens, something like that. You know, it was a long time ago for me.
Now that you brought up pubs, I just want to point out another aspect of the British drinking culture in particular, which is buying rounds.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so explain what that is.
That's basically, you go into a pub and the custom is, you know, you're with a group of friends, or you meet up with someone and they go like, oh, okay, you know, it's Tommy's round next. You're, you know, and he's sitting next to you, so, you know, it's you. Then, you know, like, you're going round in, like, the circle of things. So Tommy buys a round of drinks for everyone, whatever everybody wants, you know, Carlsberg, lager, cider, you know, whatever, ale, wine, whatever. And, you know, after everybody's finished, you know, you pipe up and go like that. You know, if you finish, you go like that, okay, next round. And you can get it in whenever you want. You don't have to wait till everybody's finished. It's like you can get it in and they can just have it there for when they've finished. And, you know, it just keeps going round until someone goes, oh, okay, no more for me. You know, I'm gone.
But I think this is such like weird, like, don't buy me a drink because I don't want to buy you all drinks. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
yes. Well,
what do you do? How do you opt out?
How do you opt out? You say, oh, I'm not. Nah, it's okay. Don't get me one. I you know, I'm all right. You know.
Yeah.
So
and then you just get your own.
Well, I mean, you can, yeah, but I mean, it's kind of like polite. I mean, I don't know because I mean, I've been part of that culture. You know, it's like was there? I've never thought like, oh, is there a way for me to opt out, or you know.
What if you don't? But what if you don't have the money to like buy a
What
round
are you doing
for.
in the pub then if you don't have the money?
Well, maybe I just went in the pub for like a drink, you know, like one or two, and I have enough money for myself.
Well, you leave then, don't you? You get out.
I
No,
guess.
I
So.
don't. I don't know. Actually, I don't.
I just think that's such like a weird and
I mean, you can opt out.
and
I mean,
almost
people are
kind
just
of rude. Like I know it's not rude to begin with because someone else is like offering to buy you a drink, but then they expect you to return the favor, and it's just like, well, I only have the money to buy myself a drink. Like
I mean, I've always kind of like, you know, I've bought a round and someone's bought me a round, and that was it. You know, you can nurse that drink and keep saying, "Nah, I'm okay." You know, that's the tip. That's how you opt out.
that's what I did in high school.
You just keep nursing the same drink. And
Yeah.
just say, I'm okay with this one. You know, just keep buying the round. You know, it's
Because
like, oh, no, I'm
without-
not finished with this one. No, it's all right.
Because without getting like too graphic for anybody, I don't know when you might be listening to this while you're eating breakfast, or you might be having a tea and a Butty, so you might want to plug your little ears. But
Plug your little ears.
But I have like a deathly fear of vomiting. Like that is one of, you know, some people are terrified.
I don't think anybody likes to vomit.
Some people are terrified of spiders, yeah, but I'm like terrified of it. Like I do not. Like I dread. I like
yes,
no.
I remember that time when you had that
So
vomit fears.
so I
you were going to do it, and it was just like, you know, and I was just like, well, if you're going to do it, just go to the toilet. You're like, no, I can't go there. No, don't make me go there, Dominic, for God's sake.
Okay. Anyway, because I have this fear, I have never been so drunk to the point that I threw up because I just will not allow myself to go there because it's not happening. So, like, I can always feel like, okay, yeah, that's enough. I've had enough. So, in high school, what I used to do is just, like, drink the same one or two, like, all night, yeah. So I always had some in my cup whenever they'd come around and go, oh, do you need some more or whatever? Because it's like, I don't mind feeling drunk.
No, I'm okay, yeah.
I don't mind the feeling,
Got my corn on the cob here, I'm alright.
I don't mind the feeling of being drunk. Like, I like to laugh and be silly. Like, that's a pleasant feeling. But I don't want to feel, number one, out of control of what I'm doing.
Out of control?
Because I am a bit of a control freak. But number two, I refuse to vomit. So it's like, you are not going to get me that drunk. You're not going to get me drunk to that point. It's just not going to happen.
Well, it was like, for instance, you know, like when you, I think it was when you first met my dad and he kept refilling the wine.
Oh my God, I could hardly get up the stairs.
Yeah, I literally had to drag you, didn't I?
It was like the rosé. It was really good too, and it had
rosé,
been like
and
a
it was
long
easy to
train
drink
trip or something. So it was just like, okay, yeah, you know, just like knocking them back, and then I was like, okay, I have to go upstairs now. And I didn't feel sick, but I definitely felt like the room was spinning and everything, and I was just like, okay, yeah.
And I had to put you to bed. Because I think I did. I think I put you to bed, and
I was just like, oh, the room. Yeah, I was like, the room is spinning. But anyway, yeah. That was my introduction to Dominic's father.
Yeah, I mean, he'd bought a couple of bottles of rosé, and he was just filling our glasses.
But yeah, I just find the, you know, another thing that we were reading in the article was that while it's, even in Britain, while it's fine to like see a guy smashed and throwing up on the street and urinating in the street and falling down in the street, it's like, ha ha ha, that's something to laugh about. But if you see a girl doing it, you're like, oh God, what a
frowning upon that. Oh yes,
what
women these days,
what trash,
who let her out,
what a piece of trash. Oh, what. And I just find that really disgusting and chauvinistic. Like,
who let her out? How dare they?
Yeah,
how dare they?
What are freaking British people like? I mean,
what are they like? What are we like, eh?
Yeah, I mean, why can't she get like just as drunk and throw in?
Oh, she does.
Yeah, but why is it like so frowned upon? That's horrible.
I don't know. I mean, it's the
It's
same.
like if you're falling down, you're falling down. Whether you're a
same.
guy or a girl, you look like an idiot.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, I've looked like a terrible idiot when I've been drunk, because I have gotten drunk to the point of vomiting. The stories I could tell.
No, please don't.
And I'm not going to tell any stories because my wife does not allow it.
The podcast is only 30 minutes.
Yes, and there's a lot of my drunk stories. I started drinking when I was 14 because I got into my dad's, my dad had a cupboard underneath the sink.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, that's where people put all their drink. I don't know if there's any British people listening, but do you remember growing up and, you never had like a drinks cabinet. It was always like there was bottles of whiskey and stuff underneath the sink where the Dettol and everything was. And
we put cleaning supplies under our sink.
Well, it kind of is a cleaning supply, isn't it? But I remember, it's like you would hide it under there, I think, because you thought, oh, I'd never go in there and find the whiskey, but, because it was always kind of hidden behind, like, the Dettol or the Mr. Muscle or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I found it one day, and I was, I invited friends round, and it was like, I was showing off, and I was drinking, and, I was drinking the whiskey, like, oh, yes, I'm so cultured, So drank the whole bloody bottle, and guess what happened?
Oh, God. How old were you?
14.
Oh.
I drank the whole bottle, and every room saw it back.
Oh, God. Okay. Anyway. No, that article that we were reading was also talking about the drinking age, like, as far as because you grow up with it, probably when you're like 8 or something, you get your first drink. Can you remember when you had your very first drink?
Oh, God, I don't know. I mean, because I've been in pubs. I like, from the age of, like, 9.
Sorry.
From the age of 9, I was, like, being taken to pubs with my dad, because my mother wasn't around. She was ill. And... so it was just me and my dad, and it was like I couldn't really stay at home on my own, really. Yeah. So he would just take me to the pub.
But and he gave you a drink at that age?
Well, I mean, I'd remember having a sip of his pint or something like that, or whatever he was drinking. I vaguely remember having my first Guinness. Guinness was my first drink.
Yeah.
Because that's all he was drinking back then. And I hated it. It tasted like, and I still think today it tastes like liquid ash. Guinness. I can't drink it. I don't know what it is about it. I just can't drink it. I mean, I can drink lager, I can drink beer, but for some reason Guinness, it's like, I don't know. Maybe I'll develop a taste for it. Maybe I'll go back to Britain one day and be like, oh yeah, I'll have a pint of Guinness, and I'll be like, oh, it's nice.
I can remember I was probably like 6, and my mom was drinking a wine cooler on the sofa.
Oh, we used to have Hooch. Might have been another one that I drank at that time. It was called Hooch.
And I was like, of course you want some of whatever your parents having when you're that age. I might have even been 5. And so, like, I wanted a drink, and she gave me a drink, and it was no big deal, My grandfather was an alcoholic, but that's sort of where it ended. His kids all sort of, like, went the opposite direction because they didn't want any part of it, so... Yeah. Getting a little bit deep for you all there, but so I don't know. Drinking was never really like a thing that much. I mean, you did it sometimes in our house, but that was about it. I don't know. It was not really a big deal.
No, it isn't.
But the funny thing, Dominic and I were talking about in America. It's like if anybody else had known that my mom had given me a drink of wine cooler when I was like 5 or 6, they would have been like, oh no, I can't believe she did that. Oh God, what,
It's, well, there's a certain hypocrisy about it too.
But in other countries, they give their kids like a glass of red wine, like a little glass of red wine with dinner. Like
it's good for the heart.
Italy and Spain. Yeah, it's not seen as like. Can you imagine them doing that in America? Like, people would freak out if you.
Well, you got to remember this is a religious country too.
I guess that's why.
I mean, especially around like the Bible Belt.
I guess
and all
that's
that.
why. But I mean, Italy is a religious country, and I'm sure they do that. If we have any Italian listeners, and I can only think of one that might be listening, Mary.
Yeah. Mary,
Mary, if you're out
there.
Let us know if it's common to give kids like a glass of red wine with dinner, with their meal, because I'm sure I've heard people say that.
I mean, Germany and all that.
Yeah,
places.
And it's like it's not a big deal. You're not trying to get them drunk. They're just it's good. It's healthy. It enhances the food. It's like it's just done, and the kids are used to it. And I don't know. We definitely need a lot more research, but I am curious about the drinking culture now that we're talking about it like this.
Yeah.
In those European countries. I mean, we sort of have an idea. I think people around the world sort of have a similar idea about Germany as they do with Britain.
Yeah.
But I don't know about Spain and Italy. I don't know if drinking is such like a thing there. France. I think it's all very just like normal, and it's not like,
Hey, whoa.
Yeah, I think it's a bigger deal in our countries.
Yeah.
And in Britain, it's definitely something to be proud of. Like,
they think it's a sport.
Yeah,
it's like the national sport, yeah.
Yeah.
It's bigger than the football. Let's go watch the drinking.
So
Let's go watch people get pissed and freaking fall over and throw up everywhere and watch it run down the road.
I'm very intrigued, though, that statistic that a quarter of young British people don't. I wonder how young. I wonder if they're meaning like
25, maybe.
You think 20s? So not like our age, but younger.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's a consciousness of just the fact that sort of drinking to get drunk is a form of alcoholism, or if it's just something less than that.
I mean, it's a waste of money at the end of the day.
I can think of so many more things I would much rather do with my money. I really can. Like, I would just save all that money up from going to the pub every weekend and like, blowing it on booze, like you say.
Boozing.
And instead I would go traveling,
Traveling, yeah.
There would be a lot of boozing to like equal up a traveling.
A lot of boozing, yeah. I mean, I don't know how expensive a pint is now.
I think younger people are becoming more healthy in general. I think they're just watching out for their health more. And, alcohol adds a lot of weight.
Yeah, I mean,
It damages your body.
Your liver.
Yeah.
Your liver gets done in by it.
Yeah. Your memory, there's some studies that say it messes up your memory as well. So yeah, maybe it's just a health thing, or maybe they're just not that into it, Maybe they're just like find other things to do. I don't know. I think we're finished. I hope we haven't offended you.
Yeah, if you're drunk right now, you won't remember this, so it's all right.
And if you're not, maybe you should think about getting that way.
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this wonderful program on drinking.
Let us know your thoughts on the matter.
Yeah, tweet us your drunk thoughts.
Yes, drunk tweet us.
Drunk tweet us. Drunk Facebook us. Drunk buy us a coffee.
Drunk. Especially drunk buy us a coffee, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
And
Goodbye.
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 Drunk.
Bye.
Bye.